Why are Calatheas not so beginner friendly plants? These are very expressive plants. They will let you know if they are not comfortable in their environment. Over here, as you can see, all of the leaves are curled up, they are closing inwards. This is a sign because I forgot to water my Calathea. It was just 2 days, and you can see how they have curled up. This is not a very good sign for your Calathea. As you can see, after 24 hours, all the leaves have opened up. They are no longer curling. The reason over here, I forgot to water them, and that's why the leaves had curled. Now, whenever the leaves have curled, you have to be extremely careful. There is something you are missing, and that's the reason why the leaves are curling. And it is not only limited to underwatering. There could be other reasons as well, which we will be talking about it in a while. Now, in my case, it was just underwatering. I went ahead and quickly watered the plant, and you can see the leaves are now open. And you cannot afford to keep the leaves curled for a very long time. The longer the leaves stay curled, the leaves will die off. So you have to be extremely careful. Now, why is this plant not very beginner friendly, especially if you're new to gardening and you do not have a lot of knowledge about plants? Please avoid Calatheas because they require certain conditions. They are very particular about their environmental conditions because these plants belong to the Brazilian rainforest. As you'll all know what kind of environment that is. There is a very high amount of humidity. The soil is organic, rich. There are no chemicals in the soil. There is indirect bright light, no direct sunlight. The soil is loose, porous with a good amount of leaf compost. So you have to offer a very similar condition in order to keep your Calatheas happy. You cannot use direct tap water because it contains a lot of minerals like fluoride. At times, the tap water also contains a high amount of chlorine, which will damage the plant. So you have to be extremely careful. Either offer rainwater or you can store your fresh tap water in the bucket overnight. Let the water age and then use it because that's what I have been doing. During the monsoon season, I only depend upon rainwater, but once the monsoon season is gone, I use old water. I leave the water in the bucket for 24 hours, and the next day I tend to use that water for my Calatheas or for all of my plants because it tends to work out really well. I have a high amount of chlorine in tap water, so I usually do not use direct tap water on my plants. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind in order to keep this plant happy. A lot of beginners do not have much idea about Calatheas. They buy the Calathea and they just neglect it or they just ignore it. They keep it aside. They forget to water. They forget to mist. And of course, the plant will start to curl up the leaves. They will have crispy ends. They will have brown edges, brown spots, all the possible negative effects on the plant. To be honest, if I have to give you a very lame example, it's like, let's say that you check into a hotel room. The hotel room is not up to your standards. You feel that the service is pathetic. Of course, you are going to be angry, agitated, upset, grumpy, whatever negative thoughts, negative emotions you have. That's exactly how the plant is also going to react if it doesn't get the right conditions in order to grow. So you have to be extremely careful. If you are from a very dry environment like myself, then you have to regularly water your Calathea. You have to do a daily misting. That's what I tend to do. Apart from that, you can even go with the pebble tray method as well. This will definitely help revive your Calathea if it is lacking humidity. If you're growing them indoor and if the indoor environment is dry, you'll have to buy a humidifier. Of course, you cannot use a humidifier outdoor. So this pebble tray method is going to work out really well. Apart from that, the daily misting as well. So all of these things are very important. You can even club these plants with other plants. I tend to keep my Calathea in between my other foliage plants, and that tends to give that required humidity for my plant because I have to compensate somewhere because my environment is very dry. Otherwise, my Calathea will not survive in dry environment. So if you are a beginner, if you are willing to put in the efforts in order to grow this plant, you can definitely buy this plant. But if you are not ready to put in the efforts, then please do not buy this plant, because the plant will eventually start to have issues. I have seen a lot of beginners, they buy the plant and within a week the plant starts to curl the leaves. There are brown spots, crispy ends, there are brown edges. So all of these issues are going to start if you're not going to provide the right conditions. Remember, the Brazilian rainforest, you have to mimic the similar conditions for this plant. Otherwise, it is going to be very difficult to grow Calatheas in that environment. So one of the factor with Calatheas curling up the leaves, as we said, is underwatering. The other factors are low humidity, direct sunlight, excess fertilizers, excess watering, dry air, too much of heat, too much of cold. So all of these are the other factors that will contribute in curling of the leaves. And as I said, and as I mentioned, the leaves should not be curled up for a very long time. Otherwise, you will lose that leaf. And if this continues to happen, you will keep losing each and every leaf on the plant, and eventually the plant will die. So be extremely careful about these factors. Understand what you are missing out on and provide it to the plant. So that's about it, guys. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.